Before we begin today's video, I want to thank all of you who have subscribed to my channel. It means the world to me. We are now sitting at 360 subscribers at the time of recording this video, and I know it doesn't seem like a lot to all of the big name YouTubers out there, but to me, it means the world. Because it means that the channel is growing, people are viewing the content, and people enjoy it. So thank you guys once again. If you like these videos, drop a like down below so that more people can see them and we can beat the YouTube algorithm. If you aren't subscribed and you enjoy the content, please click that subscribe button down below so that we can have the channel grow even more. Without further ado, let's jump right into the theory. The Legend of Zelda is a series of epic adventure, grand storytelling, and intricate puzzle solving. The young hero crawls through the dungeons, collects the treasure, defeats the big bad, and saves the princess, often leading the land to better and brighter days. Sometimes he wanders through dungeons, others abandoned palaces. In some adventures, he clears Hyrulean ruins, and in others, he wanders through the inside of a giant fish creature. However, in the majority of adventures throughout the series, our young hero must expel the evil residing within temples. In 10 out of the 18 adventures in the main Zelda series, our young hero journeys to at least one temple. And that got me thinking, what is the real purpose of temples in the Legend of Zelda series? Real quick, let's identify what sets a temple apart from a basic dungeon. And to do that, we're going to analyze the elements that a dungeon consists of. Throughout the series, dungeons often hold an item that the hero needs in order to progress throughout the story. These items are often locked behind a mini-boss. Dungeons always have a boss fight and are often, but not always, in an abandoned location. Dungeons are often used to hide an imprisoned sage. Temples, on the other hand, aside from having the word temple somewhere in their title, have the same elements I listed for dungeons, but also serve at least one more higher purpose. Throughout the Zelda series, temples have been used to echo a call to awaken a sage. They have been used to house or worship a guardian deity or spirit. Temples have also been used to house or guard a sacred element or mystical item, and temples have also been used to safeguard the entryway to a sacred spring. In a large part, temples are very similar to dungeons throughout the Zelda series. However, the main difference appears to be that temples usually house or guard a mystical deity, item, or spring in some way, shape, or form. But the question still remains, why do they have the temples? What are their purpose? In every iteration of temples in the series but one, the temples lie secluded and abandoned, practically forgotten except for myth or legend. Either that or straight up ignored. The only exception to this rule is the Temple of Time in Ocarina of Time. And that temple was constructed by the ancient sage Rauru in the middle of Castletown, so it's hard to ignore and is easy to get to. In the Ocarina of Time, the temples serve to call the new sages to their post. In Majora's Mask, they house the guardian giants, while in Wind Waker, they serve as a center of prayer. In Four Swords Adventure, they house an imprisoned sage, while in the Minish Cap, they protect the sacred elements of purity needed to forge the Picori blade into the Four Sword. In Twilight Princess, they seal away both a fused shadow and a piece of the Mirror of Twilight. For the Phantom Hourglass, they house one of the fairies that serve the Ocean King, while in Spirit Tracks, they protect a Force Gem that powers some of the Spirit Tracks. In Skyward Sword, they guard a spring that cleanses and purifies the body, as well as protect two of the sacred flames needed to temper the Goddess Sword into the Master Sword. Though they do not share the name Temple, the Ancient Cistern and the Fire Sanctuary have more temple-like themes than the majority of temples throughout the series, so I gave them honorary temple status. In the Breath of the Wilds, well, they're just abandoned, long forgotten, and unused pieces of architecture. It is confirmed, however, that in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, the Temple of Time was used up until the Calamity, and appears to have been kept in near perfect condition up until that point. Regardless of what each temple was used for, however, they all have three things in common. Except for once again the Temple of Time in its Hyrule location. Seriously though, what the heck? Always sticking out like a sore thumb, aren't we? Anyways, the three things they all have in common is that they all feature puzzles. They are all way harder to navigate than one would think they should be, and they all get overrun with monsters. Most of my favorite puzzles and mechanics come from the temples. The Forest Temple from Ocarina of Time, the Water Temple from Twilight Princess, and Stone Tower from Majora's Mask, to name a few. Whether it's shooting an arrow to straighten and twist the hallways of the building, controlling the flow and level of water throughout the building, or flipping the building completely upside down, these temples are each unique in their puzzles. These puzzles, however, serve to add to the labyrinth feel that these temples often exude. One would expect a temple to be straightforward and easy to navigate, allowing people to flow easily through to worship, pray, and pay their respects. Zelda temples, however, are mazes, difficult to navigate, and filled with many ways to die on their own right. With abrupt ledges, water hazards, pits of lava, holes in the floor, deadly fog, and quicksand, to name a few, these temples alone are 1,000 ways to die for the young hero. So have these temples just fallen to ruin, been abandoned, or even twisted by dark magic? I, for one, don't think so. Instead, I propose a counterthought. What if these temples were built this way on purpose? From the time of their creation, they have always been how they appear in each game. What if the main purpose of these temples is for the chosen hero to achieve enlightenment, not others that may be visiting? Once again, with the Temple of Time in its Castletown location. The Temple of Time was built by the ancient sage Rauru in the likeness of the original found in the Lost Woods, and is a tribute/reminder of the goddess Hylia and her protection. It is also built to be a secret hiding place of the Sacred Realm. This one is clearly built for others to come and pay their respects. It's open, majestic, and inviting. The others, however, are anything but. What would it mean if they were made mainly for the chosen hero to achieve enlightenment? Let's reanalyze what we know about the temples with this purpose in mind. They are heavily influenced by puzzles, often constructed like a maze, and while they may safeguard a sacred spring, artifact, or element, they always get overrun by the forces of evil. They clearly don't offer much, if any at all, protection. So protection is arguably not their main function. I propose that these temples were built for the very purpose of the hero obtaining enlightenment. The hero, called to save the kingdom in its moment of need, is almost always a young boy, no more than 17 years of age. If any needed to prove themselves and gain enlightenment, it would be him. The young hero is put to the test time and time again. Does he have the courage to go in? Can he face the nightmares within? Will he succumb to fear and run home screaming? One has to admit that the sheer act of setting foot in these buildings shows a significant degree of courage, but remaining inside for hours as he painstakingly solves the puzzles within, navigating the maze, advancing bit by bit, takes real grit, true courage, and an iron will. These temples provide the hero with the perfect environment to test and strengthen his courage, while others would run away screaming. Moments ago, I mentioned the puzzles and maze-like structure of the temples, and while they no doubt aid in growing the hero's courage, in this scenario, their primary function is to teach the young hero wisdom. Many a time, the puzzles feature riddles that the hero needs to solve in order to progress. Obscured in words written upon walls, signs, and even objects within the temple, the hero must find the truth of it all and execute the appropriate action. The hero must show critical thinking as he analyzes the cause and effect of certain actions. Will his next choice bring him closer to the end, or will it simply take him on a detour? I am reminded of the water temple from Ocarina of Time, in which the hero can raise or lower the level of water in the temple. It comes with a cost, however. If the hero chooses the correct time to change the water level, he gets to progress. If he chooses the wrong time to change the water level, the hero will quickly find himself on quite the lengthy detour, wasting precious time on his journey. These kinds of puzzles serve to teach wisdom, and quickly, for in these sacred structures stalks demons, monsters, and not-so-friendly foes at every turn. Every second spent thinking about the solution is one more second an enemy has to attack. While we're on the topic of monsters and not-so-friendly foes, let's segue into the temple's third functionality for the young hero. As stated before, these sacred structures inevitably get overrun with monsters, either due to the passage of time, environmental circumstances, or straight up the evil influence of the big bad. What if these temples were actually built for the purpose of providing a battleground for the young hero, away from public eyes, in a safe place where bystanders can't get hurt? What if the very existence of these structures was brought about to tempt monsters into taking them, all for the sake of the hero? After all, it has been proven time and time again that these ancient structures, even with all their splendor and labyrinth-like construction, are easier to capture than to hold. What if these temples were nothing more than a power play, eons in the making, set forth by the goddess Hylia? By creating temples and deeming them sacred, she practically tempts evil into coveting after them. By connecting temples to sacred items and places, she inevitably asks for evil to pursue it, and the hero to conquer it. What if the very temples that were rumored to protect are actually a way to tempt the evil powers into fractioning away their power, so that the hero clad in green can temper his courage as well as gain the combat prowess and the strength to defeat all of his foes? After analyzing the temples and their roles throughout Hyrule's histories, I see strong evidence against their true purpose being solely for worship and protection, and instead see it as evidence supporting their creation for the benefit of the hero. But hey, that's just my theory. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I onto something good here but not quite there yet? Do you think these temples were created for protecting things of a sacred nature, or do you think they could serve a more thought out purpose? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you want to contribute to theories like these as they are in the making, join my Discord in the link below. I am building a community of Zelda theorists and fans of the channel to discuss all things Zelda and even some things Pokemon. I now have a Patreon, so if you want to support the channel, click that link in the description below and help support me as I strive to become a full-time YouTuber and fellow theorist. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Brascoin, and this is where I sign off.